and I am an intuitive and spiritual counselor. I live in Medicine Hat, and I'm born and raised in Regina, but now live there with my fiance. And I discovered the Natural Health and Healing Expos when I moved to Medicine Hat, and I went for a reading that changed my life. And I thought it would be a simple mediumship reading, and that I would communicate with my grandfather, who was departed. But it wasn't. It was an angel reading, and the woman told me that I had been struggling with direction, and that I needed to pursue a path as an intuitive and as a channel. And I called her crazy to her face, and she laughed. And she said, well, I've only told one other person that in my entire life, and she had the same reaction, but now is an intuitive healer and works in California and loves her life. So she showed me a book that she had seen, and I pursued it, and it was called Angel Therapy by Doreen Virtue, and it changed my life. I stepped onto this path with an open heart, kind of curious, and everything fell into place so beautifully, as it seems to do when you found your calling. And I think the biggest thing that I learned along the path is when you have an open heart and you trust your feelings and you trust your instincts and your intuition, amazing things can come to you. And so as I stepped onto the path, I began working with oracle cards. I looked into Doreen, and she had a bunch of oracle card decks, which you can see Colleen has many of them. I have some of them. And they're so much fun to play with. They have beautiful messages. And I love that they were so hopeful, so positive, because we don't need to scare people into changing and into growing. We can love them and lead by example and create that example to influence them so positively. So I started working with the cards, and as a feeler, the cards were perfect because I got a lot of feelings. When I used the card, I would get a feeling, and people started validating that these readings were in fact accurate for them. And then my confidence built, and I became an angel therapist. I took her course online through DVDs and began to open up to an energy that I knew had always been there, but didn't understand how powerful it was. And I began to realize that we're all made of energy, which is proven scientifically, and those vibrations affect everything. And those vibrations are caused by our thoughts and our feelings and the way we see the world. So it's really important that we watch our feelings. We always say watch our thoughts, but really, in this day and age, that's almost impossible, right? There's so much going on, there's so much media and, inundation of news and marketing, that watching your feelings is really the lesson that I learned along the way. And as long as you're feeling good or peaceful or happy, that excitement, then you're on the right path. And that's not to say that, sadness doesn't have its place in our lives, because it does. There's, terrible things that happen in the world that we need to process and send love to. But it's coming from that place of peace and knowing that love is really what matters most. And really realizing that, and realizing that gratitude and looking at the world through grateful eyes, it just changed my life. It transformed my life. In the last 2 years that I've been doing this, everything has fallen into place, as I said, and I've gone from a skeptic to now an author of a book, a teacher, someone who's working towards leading workshops and helping other people open up their own intuition. So I'm here today just to talk a little bit about my book and a little bit about what's in my book and about how you can tap into your intuition. Because we all have it. We do. Everybody has gut instincts. We have different ways that we process the messages, and in the book I talk about it, our 4 clairs. So we have what's called clairaudience, where we hear things. You pick up things in a snippet of a conversation, or you hear lyrics of a song and you go, oh my gosh. And it takes you back, or it reminds you of somebody. Or you might hear voices, which people say is crazy, but honestly, sometimes it saves people's lives. I've heard a lot of stories like that. It's pretty powerful. Clairsentience is one of my dominant clairs, and that's where you get thoughts. You just get ideas, you don't know where they come from, they just pop into your head. I should go to that party tonight. So you go. You meet the love of your life. And it's amazing. Or I should not go to that party tonight. And then you go, and the cops come, and people get arrested, and it's bad. That's clairsentience, where you get a thought, you don't know where it comes from. And we've got clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is very, very common, especially in mainstream pop culture. Clairvoyance is where you see things. So Teresa Caputo, one of my idols in life, she's a beautiful clairvoyant soul, and she sees purple flowers, a yellow deck. Why am I seeing a green chair? What's with the green chair? So she sees things in her mind's eye, or her eyes are drawn to things in a room. And then my big dominant clair that I get is the feelings, and that's clairsentience. So I think that everybody has a dominant, one or two. And we all have some of everything, right? We all hear things every once in a while or see something out of the corner of our eye that catches our attention. But we have dominant clairs. And I love to stress with people that when you know what your dominant clairs are, you can talk to the angels. You can work with your angels. You can work with your departed loved ones. You can work with your spirit guides. You can really connect with your true self and your intuition. So thinking about that, just think about what your dominant clair might be. And know that when you ask for help, when you send that prayer up, you don't even know to who sometimes, right? You just go, what am I doing? Where am I going? What should I do? That's how you can get those messages. You get a thought, you get an idea, you get a gut instinct. Just something that can help guide you on this path. You're not alone. That's something I learned growing up in the United Church, and something that I held very near and dear to my heart on this path. I was always very spiritual. I always believed in something. But I always felt that hell was a misconstrued notion. It freaked me out. Like, how can I be right and you're wrong? That doesn't make sense, right? Like, just because you believe something different, it's not cool. And it made me so uneasy. And as I got on this path and read this book by Doreen, I realized that we're all under the same umbrella. We're all energy, no matter what path you take. If it takes you to a higher level of yourself, to a happier level in this life where you're sharing love and expanding and creating, go for it. And when you pass on, you just return to that same source energy. Whether you're Buddhist, Jewish, you can call it God, you can call it love, you can call it spirit, universe, Yahweh, all those names that we give it. It's the same being and energy that's in us. And that was so comforting to me. It just filled me with such peace. And I just knew it to be true. So I started offering readings and sharing that peace. And in the book, I found a lot of people ask the same questions. When people came, they asked questions about cutting away fear and getting out of their heads and finding love, finding a purpose, finding out what their purpose was, and really moving forward with more joy, getting out of their dead-end jobs, getting out of those ruts that we find ourselves in. And so I started channeling messages, and it was always the same. Very similar. Obviously, a little bit of details differed, but the messages were always the same, and I got this idea to write a book. And my parents have worked with the written word their whole life. My mom's actually going to speak next. They're publishers based in Regina. And so for the longest time, I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to be a writer. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to be an actress. Like, whatever. I'm just not going to be a writer. I just have to do my own thing. Just like rebel teenager, right? And I journaled, and I was like, oh my gosh, I like this boy. He's so cute. Just stuff like that. But I never did anything really serious and really in-depth. And then when I started offering readings and everybody was asking the same questions, I got these stirrings in me to write this stuff down. And I kept getting called, and I would do, I'd do exchanges, and the readings for me would be like, you're a writer, you're a teacher, you're a writer, you're a teacher. And I was like, no. But I started to write it down, and I started to feel like this is something that I'm meant to do. And then I read a book, and it talks about how we as souls, before we're even born, we choose our parents. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around sometimes, especially if you're mad at them right now. But we do. We choose our parents, and we choose our parents and the people that we surround ourselves with so that we can learn and grow, and so that they can help us on our journey that our soul has chosen. We all have a purpose. We all have dreams in our heart, and I believe that God doesn't give you a dream without also giving you those tools to achieve it. And that includes the people that you surround yourself with. Those are tools on your journey. So I started to realize that my parents were indeed a huge part of who I am and who I was meant to be. So I wrote a blog. And it was terrifying, absolutely terrifying to put myself out there, but the blog started to generate those feelings of confidence in me. I got some good feedback and began writing more and more, and just started writing the book little by little. And I really started with a factual book. It was, it was very much like, this is what I've learned, this is how you can open up your intuition, the end, right? And I was meditating one night, and the angel said to me, no one's going to read it. Or if they read it, they're going to hate it. And I was so like, oh, well, no, it's full of good stuff. Like, it's full of such useful information and exercises to help people tap into their intuition and cut away fear and, make lists that are helping them clarify their purpose and what they want in a partner. And the angel said, doesn't matter. Unless you put your heart into this book, no one's going to relate to it, no one's going to read it. They can get that information on Google. And so I took a step through fear, and I put my story into this book, and it's been amazing. It was so cathartic, really, when we share who we are so vulnerably and so openly. There's something to be said for it. It just, you can just be yourself, and you really step into that potential, which I think is the whole point of the book, to step into that potential and step into that space where you're just you. So it's been a lesson for me along the way, and we always say you teach what you need to learn, and it's definitely, you know, I still am all the time. Every reading I do, I'm telling somebody something and going, okay, I gotta remember that. Every single reading. And it's been amazing because I feel like my path has shifted so much to becoming a teacher and sharing this knowledge, and I'm so excited to have the book and to be able to do that. So I wanted to maybe walk you guys through an exercise in the book, if you're open to that. And I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of the other ones, because lists and clarity is something that I've really had stressed in all of the readings I've done, because as human beings, we're so open to just whatever comes. And life is good, so whatever. But the angels are always, you know, telling me that clarity is where it's at. When we're clear with what we want, that's how we manifest. Because I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, where what you focus on expands. So when you're worrying, you bring more things into your life to worry about. When you're grateful, you bring more things in your life to be grateful for. So the law of attraction has driven my life the last couple of years. I've changed my life. Esther Hicks, Jerry Hicks, Abraham, they're amazing. If you don't know them, Google them. They're awesome. And I started to realize that clarity was so important to just put out there into the universe. And then the second part was to be open to what the universe brought in response. So one of the exercises in my book is actually a list. And for those of you looking for life purpose, looking for a little more clarity on what it is you're supposed to be doing, you can do this. It's a great exercise. On the left-hand side of a piece of paper, you just write the things you've loved in life. And then on the right-hand side, you write why. So you write out, maybe, like I say, I loved soccer as a kid, because I loved to be part of a team. I loved to be around people. I loved to be active and share my energy and have a common goal. I also love drama. I loved getting up in front of the stage, in case you couldn't tell. I'm a little bit of an extrovert. And I put on the right-hand side, yeah, I loved inspiring people. I loved, you know, motivating them and sharing my energy with people. I loved singing because I loved moving people. I loved bringing out emotions in people that they hadn't really acknowledged. And so those are 3 examples. And then what you do after you've made your list, and it can be as long or short as you want, you can always add to it, you can take away, is you cover up the left-hand side. And you read the right-hand side, the why. Because the why is really what's important. That's your motivator, right? That's why you do what you do. And the why should really describe what everything in your life revolves around, and what your focus should be for a life purpose, for hobbies, for the people you surround yourself with. So with me, I work with people every day, and I love it. I share my energy. I use my voice to inspire people, to motivate them, to move them, and so many other things. And some of this stuff will just be hobbies, right? Like music is a big thing for me because it moves my soul. And that's a hobby, and that's great. But it's still a key part of how I raise my vibration and how I bring joy into my life. So really simple exercise. Takes like 20 minutes if you want. Try it. It's awesome. And then you just take that. The biggest thing that the angel has stressed is that those feelings are so important. It's not, you know, as humans we always have goals. We always have things we want to do, right? Like I want to get a job, and I want to make 100 grand, and I want to travel to Europe, and I want to get married, I want to have kids, and I want to be a millionaire and successful and all this stuff, right? And the real question is why? Like, why are you setting these goals? And so often we say, oh, well, I want to be successful. But it's so much more about the feelings. And that's what the angels are really resonant. And it's mostly because I'm a feeler, but it's because we all want to feel good in some way. And it's different for all of us. I love the idea of motivating people and uplifting them and sharing that inspiration. And those have become my driving factors. So when you're looking at day-to-day stuff, ask yourself what the feelings are that you want. Why do you do what you do? Why do you go to your job? Is it just for a paycheck? If it is, maybe you might want to make a list and put it out there to the universe to manifest something a little deeper. Because we all want to feel something. We all want to connect with that energy, that divine energy that guides us. And when you focus on the feelings you want, that's the clarity. The angels they just love it because they bring it to you. They bring those opportunities. So for myself, I love feeling uplifting. I love the feeling of appreciation from somebody who I've motivated. I love that feedback that makes me, feel like I have made a difference. And if I wake up every morning with that as my focus, I find that it doesn't really matter what I do during the day. It's all driven from that space of wanting to help others and wanting to have that emotional feedback. And you can do that yourself too. Ask yourself, why do you want to go on that big trip? Why do you want financial security? I mean, usually the financial security is because you want freedom. What would you do with your freedom? Like, take it to the next step and get clear with what that feels like for you. Because when we focus too much on the what, things come along and we're like, no, that's not what I said, right? I always say we paint our box, we put what we want in it, and then we go, okay, tall, dark, and handsome, $1 million, I want this job at this company, like I want to work for Google, and I want this house on this street. And then we get a job, Facebook comes along and offers us a job, we're like, nope, you're not Google. But it's $1 million opportunity. It's our life purpose knocking at the door. And we can just fail at life when we do that because we're so closed-minded that we just end up in a really dark space. So it's about being really, really open and opening your heart, and that's why my book's called Opening Up, because that was the lesson. Once you get clear and make your lists, it's about moving forward and being open to the, he's not tall, dark, and handsome, he is blonde and a little bit short. But you know what? He loves me for me, right? And my boyfriend's brown hair, so it's just an example. But that's the thing that the angels say. It's about being open to that, because that's what makes life fun. I mean, if we knew how it all worked out, if it was just a script that we could write, like, why would you wake up tomorrow, right? The fun part about it is being open to what today will bring and having that hope. And hope is something I think that I've always had in my heart. I think it's what's driven me to this purpose and what keeps me driven, and sharing that hope with other people. And I really think that that's what I do with my readings and what I do with this book. And I'm so excited to share it with people. It's one of those things where with the readings in the book, and it's about acknowledging what's already in our hearts. I always find that my readings, you already kind of know the answer to your questions. People come to me, they're like, is this guy my soulmate? And then just sit there and go, if you have to ask, you might need to get a little more specific with what your soulmate, the feelings that your soulmate emotes from you, right? And yet, when they go there, it's a scary place. It's scary to be that honest, because we're taught to be humble. We're taught to put the focus on other people, right? And the angels always talk about that balance of giving and receiving. That's another huge message and a life lesson that I'm still learning. Because as nurturers, we just want to give and give and give and help and help and help. And my first reading, I'll never forget it, and it's in the book. Excuse me. She gave me this bucket analogy, and she said, you got a bucket of love. And everybody starts the day with a bucket of love, and it's full to the brim. And we decide who gets a drink. So you can have a drink, and you can have a drink, and you can have a drink. And oh, you need lots. You can have a whole bucket, right? Especially like us moms and wives, we just dump it on people. And that's okay. Like, honestly, that's really beautiful karmic work that you're giving. You're so giving. But you also need to fill it up. Otherwise, you have nothing left. You get drained, you get resentful, you get frustrated at life. It just comes to a point where you're like, what am I even doing this for? Right? I think we've all been there. Or you just get super sick. Like, I used to do that all the time. I would just get so, physically run down. My body would just quit on me because I had to rest. I had to fill up my own bucket. And it's one of those things where you need to find people and situations in your life that do that. And you also need to do it for yourself. That's another big one, is finding what brings you joy and that self-care aspect of it, where it's not just about massages and hot baths and things like that. It's good sleep. It's about laughter. It's about people that love you and bring out those butterflies, you know what I mean? Like when you're so excited and you just can't wait to tell somebody something. Like, it's about those feelings and finding people and situations and opportunities that bring that out in you. And I think when we do that, we're living our truth. We're living the purpose that we're here for, which is joy and love. And so, where was I going with that? I get so sidetracked sometimes. But it's making sure you focus on that feeling and filling up that bucket. And making sure you're in relationships. That's the other thing. I think that's kind of my next book. I'm already writing a second one, I know. But when we settle and get into relationships, whether it's friendships, jobs, or romantic relationships, where we see the potential, but the person or opportunity maybe hasn't realized its potential, and we just cling to that hope, it can be very, very disappointing in the end. And we're so quick to, again, just say like, oh, I'm not worthy. I'm okay with this, right? Like, it's kind of like that whole like, yeah, whatever about life. And then you get a lot of good, you get a lot of bad. And I've noticed that it's when you're honest about it and when you're coming from a loving place and making sure that the person that you're with or the job that you're in gives as much to you as you give to it, then you find that balance in life and you can just go with the flow and abundance comes because you're following your passion. You're showing up every day excited. And that abundance leads to even more because then again, you're grateful and that gratitude just brings more. And I found that that's what's happened for me on this path in the last 2 years. Everything has just shifted and moved forward in such a beautiful way. And you start to notice that there's people that maybe aren't meant to be with you on that path, and that's okay. That's the other thing that a lot of people come to me with. It's like, I don't know if I'm meant to be with this person anymore. And sometimes it's just, they need some self-reflection. They do. They need to ask themselves what they truly want and move through that and figure it out and maybe stay where they are, but find a happier them. Sometimes it's so far gone, they're both in completely different energetic spaces and their energy just doesn't mesh. And that's okay too. It's just about finding people that really bring that out in you and bring out that joy in you. The bucket analogy, it sticks. I tell it to every client, I swear, because it applies to all of us, doesn't it? So let's go with one of the exercises here. Got a few minutes left. All right, I just flipped to one, so we're gonna go with it because I learned to trust that. So this is an exercise called cord cutting. And I'm just gonna walk you guys through it. So if you just wanna close your eyes, just take a deep breath. And I just want you guys to think about anybody in your life or any situation in your life where there's drama or negative emotions or frustration or fear or worry. I just want you to breathe in and just see that person or visualize that situation in your mind, feel the feelings, you can go there. But know that love and white light are your true natural state. And we're going to call on Archangel Michael. And Archangel Michael is the Archangel of Strength. And he is a beautiful, strong, vibrant blue energy. And he comes in with his strength and a beautiful sword of light. And we're going to ask him to help us with this. Because what we do is we connect energetically with people. We connect energetically with things. And we build these cords. We all have these energetic cords of love that connect us. But then we can build these cords of fear or these cords of attachment. And if they're give and take, they're healthy. They're like a roadway where people come and go in peace and share that love even more. But often they can be imbalanced. So think of those negative situations where you feel like maybe you're giving so much, or maybe you're leeching. Maybe it's the other way around. Picture those people in your mind's eye. Picture those situations. And then we're going to ask Archangel Michael to take his sword of love and light, and we're going to ask him to cut those cords. You might feel some shivers, you might feel some tingles, you might shed a couple tears. That happens a lot. It's just moving through that energy and knowing that those cords of love remain. And I want you to picture his beautiful blue light, and I want you to send that light and love to those people, to those situations. I want you to send that love and light to yourself, to the past version of yourself in that situation. The person who was doing the best they could with what they knew at the time. Or the person that's you right now in this moment trying to move forward. Send yourself some love, give yourself an energetic hug, and know that you're just doing the best you can right now. Envision Michael as an angel, shining bright, filling you with that light, and just send that love and breathe out any negativity that remains. And then we're going to call on Archangel Raphael. He's the beautiful Archangel of healing. A lot of people in this room work very closely with Archangel Raphael, and he is a beautiful green light. Rider green. We're just going to breathe in that rider green. And we see that color just filling us up and healing any space where those cords were. And I just wanted you to see that green light surrounding your heart, just enveloping it in love. And then I want you to take a deep breath, and I want you to send that green light out to anybody in your world who needs it. Surround them with it. See it fill them up. Surround your home with it, your workplace, your city, the world. Just send that love out. And know that that is what makes a difference in the world, that love. And anytime you feel that worry or fear or stress, you can call on Michael to help you cut away those negative thoughts, those negative feelings. And you can ask Raphael to help heal anyone in your life, in your world, to send them peace and calm. And then we'll just come back to this space and feel that love fill you up. Know that you can call on those angels at any time. It's just an intention. You don't have to worry about the right words, the right phrase. It's just a thought or a help or a what do I do now? Or a please. You just come back to the room, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's an example of the exercises that I've channeled in this book. And it's really, really powerful. It's really, really powerful stuff that I'm so excited to share with people because it has honestly changed my life. And I am so full of love and so full of gratitude for this book and for the angels' help. And if you want to know more, my booth is just over there. And my mom's going to be up here next talking about some more inspiring stories that they have chosen to publish and to share with the world. So thanks for your time, guys.